Romney. 59% of 18-year-olds who voted in the 2012 election voted for Mitt Romney. We're seeing a radical shift among the younger generation, that they're a freedom generation.
Hi, I'm Nick Gillespie with Reason TV. We are at the Reboot 2014 conference, and we're talking with Evan Feinberg. He's the president of Generation Opportunity. Evan, thanks for talking to us.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Nick.
Generation Opportunity's mission, lay it on us.
Well, we're a youth advocacy organization. We focus on empowering millennials, sort of the 18 through 34-year-old demographic, to get engaged in the political process in a way that makes a difference to create more economic opportunity. And we certainly have a point of view. We think that happens through more freedom and less government.
So what are your key issues?
So we work on sort of broad economic issues like government spending and taxes and regulation, things that are preventing the next generation from really getting ahead. But we also really are focused on the issues that are most important to millennials. So that really creates an opportunity to branch out into issues like privacy and other issues that young Americans are really engaged on.
Talk about privacy. Like what does Generation Opportunity think should be done about kind of federal incursions on privacy?
Well, sort of the big ticket items are sort of like NSA surveillance issues, where sort of the bulk collection of our data is something that we're really concerned about. And we're concerned about putting that information in the hands of people that really don't have our best interests at heart. We're also concerned about sort of more niche issues like email privacy. I think a lot of young people, when they find out that our emails aren't protected in the same way that our snail mail is, and they get really concerned. So
what is that? It's like after a certain amount of time, basically, the government can go through your email without the type of warrant they would need to search your actual physical mail.
Yeah, most young people would be surprised to learn that over 180 days old emails are really open to any government agency that wants to use them in whatever way they think necessary.
What about economic issues? What are the big economic issues? Do you guys deal a lot with entitlement spending, old age entitlement spending, or regulation? What are the key drivers there?
Yeah, a lot of young Americans are really concerned about debt and deficits, and I think the recent Reason poll was a really good example of just how concerned young Americans are with all the money we're spending that's being charged to the next generation. We call it a war on youth, and young people they support immediate entitlement reform. They don't think it's a fair or just way to run an economy, and they understand those programs were created in an era where people at the age of 65 were either dying or poor, and that's no longer the case. And so young Americans are really pushing back against a lot of these big government policies.
Are there specific things? Do you say we should get rid of Social Security, or Medicare should be means tested, or like how do you go about you raise awareness of the issue, but then do you also have preferred solutions?
Yeah, so I think a big part of the battle right now is raising awareness of the issue, because politicians in Washington, D.C. just seem so unwilling to recognize the problem and work proactively to solve it. If they realize there's a whole constituency of young Americans that want to see those problems solved, I think that's going to really compel them to act. As far as specific solutions, there's a lot of them, everything from letting young people opt out of some of those programs to tweaking around the edges to some significant overhauls. Those are things that young Americans are all interested in talking about.
You guys are the people behind the creepy Uncle Sam ads that have become kind of viral hits. What's your beef with Obamacare, and what do you do now that it's up and running? It might be limping, but it's up there.
Yeah, the whole premise of Obamacare is to get a younger, poorer generation to pay for an older, wealthier, and sicker population's healthcare services. That's why they've got to spend so many of their resources selling young people on this bad deal. It's because our premiums are going to go up by nearly 3 times to pay for this whole scheme. It's really an unfair, unjust, and unsustainable way to run a healthcare system. It's what happens when you put politicians and bureaucrats in charge. And so they've got to get Zach Galifianakis and other celebrities to try to sell us on this awful deal.
So what's the alternative? Because the status quo is not good either, right? So what would Generation Opportunity like to see happen in healthcare?
Yeah, I think we need some pretty significant reform. That means taking a look at the tax code that really benefits an industrial era employment system where it used to be you got a job and you stayed in that job for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now we don't do that anymore. So we're jumping ship on our jobs every couple of years or less. So I think we need to change the tax code to stop biasing employer-based healthcare and take a look at some other policies that really start to empower the consumer to be in charge of their healthcare. Young people really appreciate and value those solutions.
Can the GOP move forward with millennials if it remains the party of social conservatives?
So to give some hope to Republicans among millennials, if you take a look at 2012, where everyone talked about how Obama won the youth vote overwhelmingly, and he did with 60% of the vote, but 18, 19, and 20-year-olds each voted for Mitt Romney. 59% of 18-year-olds who voted in the 2012 election voted for Mitt Romney. We're seeing a radical shift among the younger generation, that they're a freedom generation. They're looking for solutions to the big problems facing our country, and they're looking for those solutions outside of government. So I think that's the real opportunity for Republicans. But if they're talking about divisive issues, the ones that divide us rather than unite us, they're not going to win over the next generation. So they need to have a forward-thinking, solution-based, entrepreneurial vision for the future of our country, which means allowing innovative companies like the Uber and Lyfts of the world and allowing those ideas to flourish, rather than talking about the issues that really divide and prevent our generation from really uniting behind their principles and their policies.
Thank you, Evan, for talking to us. We've been talking with Evan Feinberg. He's the president of Generation Opportunity. It's a millennial outreach group. For Reason TV, I'm Nick Gillespie.